Oh geez. If I don't find a game to play for my Halloween video, my dad's gonna nuke my entire existence. I know. I'll talk about the scariest thing ever. Being an adult. Being an adult gamer has many pros and cons. For instance, as a kid, you have this fantastic, wonderful imagination that can make video games seem 10 times more grand and magical than they really are. You also have all this free time to play games since you don't have work or any real responsibilities aside from maybe chores or little things. Sure, maybe you have band practice or whatever, but kids generally have a lot more free time than adults. On the other hand, being an adult means you have more freedom. You can go out and buy whatever you want as long as you have the money for it. You have years of gaming experience under your belt, and you generally know how to figure out whether you will or won't like a game. You can try to stick to companies that you know, watch gameplay online, or read reviews to see what a game is like, and knowing what these people have thought about other games you've played, you can generally come up with a pretty good idea of what you'll think of it once you pick it up. A common complaint I hear nowadays is, "This game is too short. The game was good, but I just didn't quite feel like I got my money's worth." Let me ask you something. When you went to see The Avengers in theaters opening night, how much did you pay? Like $12? Did you feel like you got your money's worth? Judging from how well that movie did, I think most of you would say yes. That movie's like, what, a little under 2.5 hours? By that logic, a $60 video game should be about 12.5 hours. Personally, I'd say this is about right. If I pay full price for a new console release, that's about the amount of time of just pure entertainment I expect to get out of it. With that said, I don't usually buy games right on their release date unless it's the sequel to a game that I really liked from a company that I know and respect. After all, these days, you never know exactly what you're gonna get. But what really bothers me is when companies just cram stuff in to artificially increase the length of their games. You know what I mean. Like Metal Gear Solid 5, for instance. Sure, it was a great game, but a lot of people, including myself, were a little disappointed with the pacing of it all. They start you out with this amazing cinematic introduction that feels just like you'd expect from a Kojima game. Lots of story-driven action right off the bat, clear motives and a straightforward objective. But then when the game opens up, it turns into this open-ended mission-based experience where you just do the same things over and over again. Infiltrate, take down some leader, or capture the prisoner, and then exfiltrate. You do this over and over for the majority of the game, and while it's still a really fun game, it feels like the game was padded. There aren't many cutscenes linking everything together, and you're just sort of doing the motions as you progress. Another example is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. In that game, the filler is in the form of backtracking. Skyward Sword is still, to this day, the only 3D Zelda I haven't completely finished, just because of how long and tedious certain sections of it can be. But Japanese role-playing games, or JRPGs, are easily the worst offender of the artificial game lengthening. Grinding to gain experience points in order to defeat some high-level monster, having to do the same thing over and over again, it's beyond frustrating. And people like myself who are busy with other stuff just don't have time for it, which is a real shame because often these RPGs can have great stories. It's just hard to experience them when you have to spend over 40 hours sitting in front of the TV. The good thing is, in a lot of these games, maybe even the majority of them, the filler stuff is optional. In a lot of games, the fluff is just side quests that you can skip over if you want. In RPGs, you can sometimes turn down the difficulty to avoid the grinding. But in my opinion, games that just don't include this stuff are just as good, and oftentimes even better. These are games like Undertale, Star Fox 64, Portal, Mega Man Legends. These are short games, but those few hours that each of them give you are crammed to the top with great content. None of them have a dull moment, and that really leaves a lasting impact on me. It makes for an incredibly memorable experience. Star Fox 64 and Mega Man Legends were full-price titles on release, but they had great replayability, so if you wanted to, you could still get hours and hours of enjoyment out of them, but it was optional. Undertale and Portal may not really have had much replayability, but they're excellent games at like $10 each, so at least you're getting your money's worth. In contrast, games like Final Fantasy VII, even though it's a great game loaded with stuff to do, I could tell you maybe like 5 of the game's major plot points, 10 if I really tried. There's just so much fluff. So many little subplots that don't necessarily take away from the overall experience, but they can detract from the player's ability to enjoy them when they just don't have all that time to invest into them. So, in summary, short games are great, long games can be great too. It's just frustrating when you want to get to the good parts of the game and the game just won't let you do that. But if you play a game that you really enjoy, and it was like a 3-hour game for $10, I don't think you can knock it for being short. If it was like a $40 or $60 game that's 3 hours, then sure, bash it all you want. But you get what you pay for, you know? Hey guys, sorry this video wasn't all that spooky for a Halloween video. I just haven't been playing that many spooky games lately. Do you agree with me on the whole price versus length and quality thing? Let me know in the comment section. Also, if you liked the video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like it, or help me out and share it with people. If you want to see a video I did on the best MMORPG ever, click the button on screen. And if you want to see more cool videos related to video games, check out limitedlives.com, where we've got a whole bunch of great channels for you. Thanks for watching.